What is going on, everybody? And welcome to episode 50. I am your host, Marcus. And in this episode, we are talking about NFTs, non fungible tokens. I'm sure you've heard about them. There's been tons of media coverage on this stuff. Over the past week, there's actually been a lot of different things coming out about NFTs. You have Nike essentially trying to get a patent in the metasphere for their logo. You're also talking about McDonald's coming up with an NFT, Disney coming up with an NFT. What are NFTs and where is this world really going? Because just last week, you had Facebook announce the Metasphere, Meta, and them changing their name and shifting their whole view on where the company is going to be directed. You have other companies like Apple that are actually getting into the VR space. And so it is very interesting space, and people are starting to understand that this metasphere, what is it exactly? And when I first heard about NFTs, I heard about NFTs way back in the beginning of the year, and it's like when I say way back, is because NFTs have exploded just a couple months ago and really started becoming known because of what it was doing, especially one particular NFT, the Bored Ape Yacht Club. If you haven't heard, they're a massive community in what they do, what they bring, and the value and utility that they bring within their NFT. Now, if you go back to when I was first looking at NFTs, I didn't really understand, aside from the fact that you could purchase something. I understand in the gaming concept that if you purchase something, you could take that into the game and you would have that in the game. It didn't matter what game you went to, you would always have whatever that item was that you purchased would be in that metasphere. So I understood that point. But when I started diving deeper down into what an NFT was, there is a lot more to it. There's a lot of different ways you can approach it. And I know a lot of people have particularly talked about how most NFTs will fail. And I do believe that is true. Right now, everybody is rushing in and trying to take advantage of the spots. It is hot. It's not something that's just going to pump and go away. I can guarantee you that. It's a very strong knit community, people that are going into the space. But you have to also understand that there's something more there, right? Because NFTs could be used for a membership. You become a valued member like the Bored Ape Yachts Club and realize that that's a large community of networking and people. You have to also realize that it can be used for gaming, and realize that whatever that NFT is something you can carry over to other different games that is yours, because it is essentially on the blockchain that essentially shows that it is your item, that you've essentially got it, right? Whether that's through minting or purchasing it on a secondhand marketplace. But also understand that there's a lot more to it. You can use it for, we could possibly even use it for social security numbers. We could use it for other different things like pink slips for your car, or, even for your medical records. There's a lot of different use cases for it. Right now, a lot of the flood coming into NFTs is primarily for art. And music is coming up quick as well because it eliminates the middleman. And so that item is directly given to you, and then royalties are essentially kicked back to you if you are the creator of that NFT, which is nice. But you have to also realize that NFTs just don't end there. It's not just black and white. There is a lot of gray area on how it works and what you can do with it. And it's really open up to the mind and realize that, yes, whatever this thing is that you're purchasing it's ultimately being set on the blockchain. And so, and realize that is yours. And you have to realize that other people are picking up on this. Like I said, you got McDonald's, you got Disney, you got tons of other people. You got Twitter that is trying to build utility to help verify that these images or whatever NFT you have is yours, also allowing you to essentially display your artwork on Twitter. So being said, my journey into going to NFTs has been really interesting. Like I said, I started early and I started looking at this stuff. And to me, again, it didn't make sense. I was trying to understand I get it, the hype. It's new technology. People just want it for the technology. And so I understood the technology part of it, but I didn't understand why it would become as popular as it was. I understand gaming, but I had to understand that, okay, well, gaming is still going to take a while because even the blockchain is really new. A lot of the technology and stuff that's being used on is very new. So introducing an NFT in the way a lot of people talk about it into a game would be really hard to do. It would take a couple of years for it to get to that point. But then people were just selling art. Then I realized that, again, you had a project like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and they changed it. They essentially changed the game. They changed it into where you are buying into a community that allows you to network, and that this community was very tight knit, and realized that they plan big events. They plan the yacht parties. They plan warehouse parties. Right? They have a roadmap. They know where they're going. They plan on creating stores and places to hang out for these people. So you're essentially buying again that membership or the exclusive piece of a community. And to be able to get that, you have to pay essentially the price to be able to do that. And I remember even back when Bored Ape Yachts Club first came out, and I believe the first ones I had seen were a couple $100 to $1,000 at the time, and I thought that was a lot. Now, they're in the millions of dollars, and I think just to get in the floor price on one of those is like $150,000. So these things, will they last forever, right? It really just depends. Right now, there are a ton of projects. Everybody's trying to cash in on this new thing that is going on. And is it a bubble? I think it is to an extent. Again, everybody's trying to cash in on this stuff, but it's more than that. The technology, I understood the technology and understood how far the technology could go and how useful it is. But then when you start adding creativity to it, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more you can do with it that people weren't aware of. Again, Bored Ape Yacht Club was a perfect example of that because of what they did. They built a community of people that essentially the exclusivity to holding that NFT. And so now a lot of different projects are starting to kind of mirror that. And you have to realize, again, there's more to it. If holding on to an NFT, it provides you benefits. Some of them do, some of them don't. You really have to look at the project. And this is not something you just glaze over and buy because somebody else is buying or you hear the hype. That's not what you're trying to do. You have to understand what it is. Every project does something different. And when I started looking at this, and this also goes back to when I started looking at crypto and realizing that it was more than just a coin. There was a team behind it creating, essentially solving problems, understand what the utility of that token was. And NFTs are the same way. NFTs allow you to benefit as a community, to help each other out. And not only that, but maybe it's the same goal. Some will give to charitable projects, right? And so that's something you need to understand, that it's more than just that, right? And it's understanding that you do get benefits for holding. You get benefits. You get perhaps other what are called airdrops. You get other NFTs on top of the ones you have for just holding it, and realize it's kind of like pays like a dividend. And realize again, once the community starts building a solid foundation, that these things can get to be quite expensive. And also something that I think everybody needs to invest in. Again, not financial advice, but you have to understand that this is something that I think you need to add into any kind of like investment. If you're looking at obtaining assets, it should include some sort of NFTs. And I'm not just talking about any NFT, because you can go on and buy them and realize that a lot of them that don't have any kind of utility, they don't have anything aside from the art, because people don't understand it extends beyond that. Because NFTs are just the beginning, and it's the way it's been explained to me is that NFTs will typically go from an NFT into gaming, into multiverse, and realize the multiverse is still a ways away, right? You're still looking at like 5 years away or so, but it is coming fast. And realize that it's going to get into that gaming aspect where you're looking at things like Minecraft and a bunch of The Sims, a bunch of different games like that, where you can essentially change your skin, live wherever you want, do whatever you want that's outside, right? And if you realize about gaming, a lot of people, they escape to that because of the reality of real life. It's easier to go into a place and to live a different life in these metaverses. And so understand the world is slowly coming to this point where they would much rather do that, especially the younger generations would much rather live there and realize that there they can be whoever they want. There they have no filter on anything. And as scary as that seems, you have to understand that younger generations accept this a lot more than older generations. And even for myself, I enjoy what that brings, and also enjoy the fact that I can go out and I can enjoy nature and stuff like that, and be mindful and do those kinds of things, and how important that is. But being said, the world is shifting into this way, right? You're eventually going to, there's already stores there, there's already land. You can purchase land in the metaverse. It just depends on what metaverse you are going into. But ultimately understand that the metaverse is trying to be decentralized, and that's the whole purpose of blockchain, is to decentralize everything and not have it centralized. That way no one power has essentially command over the whole metaverse. And so being said, and I know this seems like really futuristic and stuff, but it is really not that far away. And this is just what an NFT can lead to, and what is leading to. And again, you're seeing big corporations take advantage of this now because they're realizing how fast this is going. So they're trying to put forth effort into specific things to get there before everybody else. Because you have to understand that eventually, I think everybody will live here. They'll live, they'll work, they'll play, vacation, everything, essentially almost in a metaverse. You'll have people that will obviously not want to do that, but I think the vast majority of people, it's easier to escape that way, because we watch, a lot of people spend tons of time watching movies and playing video games, and to escape, to live a different reality than their own, and realize that a metaverse would provide that and be a much cheaper way of doing that by not actually having to leave your house. So if you can imagine that, that is what is eventually coming down the road. And yes, this is all generated from an NFT. Now, being said, when I go back and I looked, when I first started looking at it, there are people that do just sell artwork. And that's great, and that's fantastic, because it provides them royalties on the work that they put so much years and effort to be able to create the skill that they have. But there's so much more to than just the art skill or the music that is provided. Yes, those things will help for those particular arenas. If you are an artist, it helps tremendously. It allows you to get out there and get royalties and get reoccurring royalties, as opposed to just a one-time sale. So it really does help artists, and I do really appreciate that. Because I've always done art myself, and I always appreciated art. So I really appreciate that side, that royalties would be used on every purchase after the initial purchase. And so that's what I do like about it. But it is becoming more than that. Again, you are providing, now these projects are starting to become more of a community-based driven NFT. Where do they want to go, right? And it's trying to provide utility, so it's not just digital. They want to bring the digital into reality at the same time. And so they have merch shops, they have where you can actually print your NFT onto a canvas, and then you can put that in your own home, or you can have it in your digital home, right? And so you have to understand that they're trying to mix realities, and you've probably seen this if you looked at Facebook's new concept on what they're trying to do. And that is essentially how life will be, right? There will be a mixed reality of this metaverse and real life, and understand that you could fully immerse yourself in the metaverse, or you could partially. And I could see where there's a lot of different avenues where having the partial or both of them would really benefit you, to be able to look at a wall and get dimensions without having to actually physically do it, and realize that these concepts, these ideas, are something that have been worked on for many years, and we have a lot of the technology now to be able to do it. And And so it's really interesting. And I know I've talked about the metaverse and trying to relate back to NFTs, but I'm just trying to provide a scope of how and where the NFTs are going, and realize that it is more than just some JPEG that you see on the thing. Now, yes, there's going to be different things. Like I said, Twitter is using it. They're verifying the profile picture you have on there, if it's an NFT, if you currently hold it, or else you can't have it. And then to be able to trade these, right, and to be able to sell these and be the sole holder of those, and realize uh, that it benefits you more, and the benefits you can achieve from having an NFT as an investment, and realize that, yes, this is where, again, you have to focus on good projects. You can't just buy into any project. And for myself, I didn't really know. It took me a long time to even buy an NFT, because I had to understand it better. And then once I understood it, then I was like, okay, well, what are the good projects? What separates particular projects from others? In realizing, again, that the community has to be there. The people are driven to want to be there. The developers, the artists, right? They have to really be very engaged with the community to want to make the changes that people want. And why would I want to buy an NFT? Yeah, the artwork's great. I may love the artwork, but ultimately, right, if there's no vision for the future, there's no way to want to do more for the community, then people aren't going to want to be a part of that, and so that project will die off. And I think this whole NFT thing started. It's been going on for a while, but they really started getting hot at the beginning of this year. And I think you probably got another year or two with this really hot bubble that's going to run hot, and then eventually it will pop. And the ones that don't have a good community, the ones that are just in it for money per se, I'm talking about the project teams that are developing these NFTs, right? They're going to crumble. And this is where you can see where you will lose a lot of different projects, as opposed to the ones that will eventually do very well and they'll stick around for a long time. And it's like any business plan, right? Is you got to have a vision. If you don't have a vision where it's going, or a community that's very driven to want to do big things, it's not going to happen. And so picking the right project is important. I'm not just saying go throw your money in an NFT, because that's not going to help you, right? You may get some short-term gains, but you have to also understand that in the long run, or is this something you're going to hold on to the long run, that you can see like this community is really growing and really trying to do something. And again, it's going to come down to gaming, and realize that life will be have an aspect or an element of gaming to it. And once this becomes the new reality, again, we're talking maybe 5 years down the road, is when kind of around that time when it's going to start really happening more often, or becoming more of a regular thing. But you have to understand that communities and everything are being built now, and then that will transition. All this is a transition. The NFT is essentially the transition from an NFT into gaming, into multiverse. That is what most projects are aiming to do. Some projects, again, are not like that. Some of them are strictly just art and allowing you to put them up on a digital screen. And that's great. And I have that, and I can take that with me. And I know others are attempting to use it for tickets or for coaching, right? If you buy the NFT, you get one coaching session, and then that allows you into a private group, or whatever the case is. But understand that the utility really has to be there. But if you are an influencer, right, you have to understand that these are going to be huge, right? And the whole influencer, YouTube and social media influencers, right? This is something that is really going to help shape it, because it's already starting to shape our society in general. And we didn't realize how powerful YouTube would be. And then it kind of just snuck up on us, and realized that, well, if you would have invested your time in YouTube, 7 years ago, you could have had this huge thing, right? And realize that, Web 3.0 and all these other different things, they're coming out and creating everything under the blockchain. And the blockchain is going to be a big part of different aspects of our life, and realize that it will be normal technology for us very soon. And realizing that a lot of big corporations are already incorporating a lot of different aspects of the blockchain, and how important it is. The technology is very important with underneath everything, to provide transparency. And that's why people like blockchain, because it provides transparency. And we all want the honest truth on where money is essentially flowing, where items are essentially flowing. And you can't do that. And you can do that. The solution would be blockchain, and realize that these NFTs allow you to do that, and getting it to a point where it's not just digital, that when you purchase it, you actually have some tangible thing that is associated with it that you can take from it. Um, but again, it's really up to the creatives and developers and the people out there that are trying to change it and use it to their advantage, right? Like building communities, use it to help you develop those things that you want, and realize that this is one of the biggest spaces that I have really enjoyed and liked, because it gives you so much power. And a lot of the times with business, you start talking about business and everything, and starting a business now is, starting any kind of business is not easy, but realizing that this is a whole new avenue, a whole new element that is brought to the table, something we don't get often, right? Like we had the internet, the .com boom, right? And realize that everybody rushed into that space. Now we're having that after a couple decades, right? We're understanding that there's a new .com era that's happening right now with blockchain, with NFTs, and realizing the power of what they're going to provide. And that, I think, in my mind, that is what's going to drive crypto into the masses and becoming more popular, is because of the fact of the power of NFTs, and having that thing, and realizing that people can't steal it from you, realizing that there is because it is not centralized, that the ownership belongs to you, and nobody can take that away, unless obviously unless you sell it or something like that, and that transaction is processed on the chain, and that transaction is forever essentially in history, that it's there. Then you realize that the transparency is amazing. We all want transparency, and when we're talking about other things in our lives, right, we want the transparency. We don't want people to pull a quick one on us. We don't want any of these things. We just want transparency. We want honesty, and that's what the blockchain provides you, is the technology to be able to do that. So again, the things that you have, right, there's a track record of how you've gotten those things. And so again, tying all that together, going forward in the NFT space, it is very interesting. And what I've found is that I'm just loving every aspect of it. I'm loving the NFTs. I've always loved artwork, so it's awesome to see these crazy things that people are making. I mean, the beautiful arts, and then changing it. Some of them are changing it into 3D elements, and how they're using that, and then creating the gaming part of it, going into the metaverse, and understanding what that all entails, which is a lot, which is a whole other episode, probably further down the road, because we don't know too much about it. There's some elements of that already, but I have to understand that further down the road, it's going to be very different from what it is now. But NFTs are the way to get there, and buying some NFTs, realizing that, yes, there is risk. Like I said, most projects will fail, but there is risk to buying it. But this is why you need to look for blue chip NFTs, and understanding what a blue chip NFT is. Bored Ape Yacht Club is one of the ones that to really look at and see what they're doing, and kind of compare other new projects to that, to see if it's something you're interested in. And again, it has to be driven in with your own intentions, right? Like, what do you want from the NFT? Do you like the artwork that you're buying, right? Because eventually maybe you want to put that on the wall. Maybe you don't. Maybe who knows, right, what you want to do with that. But ultimately understand that what other utility does it provide, and what is it giving me? So my journey has essentially taught me that there's more to an NFT than just the art. There is a lot more based off of that. There's a community based off that. There is a future view, right? And leading a community. And if you want to take up on these projects, you have to understand that you are leading a community of people. Yes, the artwork might be great, but if you are not willing to get on there and be a people person, right? It's like creating a business, and if you're not willing to put forth the effort to sustain that, then it's not something for everybody. But you can still buy into projects and be a part of something that is great, and you can benefit from that. And also you can help others within the community, which is fantastic. Any community thing is always great. We all want community. We all want to feel part of some community. And so when you have a community base with NFTs, it's a very powerful thing. And realize how far a community can get by working together and understanding what that provides. And so again, something that I think is absolutely phenomenal. I think I'm really enjoying it. Again, I'm still in new stages of NFTs. So for me, I'm still really trying to figure everything out. I'm still really trying to understand the differences between the different projects, the different blockchains, because there's NFTs on every blockchain. So that's something else to understand. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of different layers, like an onion, right? There's a lot of different layers to understand. I do come from a technical background, so I understand it better, I understand the layers better, but understand that just NFTs in general are something you want to start investing in because eventually it will be a metaverse. And I know that 5 years seems like so far away, but it'll be here before you know it. And investing in something like this would really be beneficial to yourself. Again, as if it's a blue chip NFT, you have to understand the difference. Again, because most of them will not last unless that artwork is something you possibly even want to hold on to while we eventually evolve into this new metaverse and something that you want to hang up on your wall or whatever the case is. That work is yours. It's a collectible. That's something you need to understand. It is collectible, and understand the way collectibles work. Some of them you purchase and then they're worth absolutely nothing after you purchase it. Some of them you purchase and are absolutely worth everything, or sometimes can even multiply tens of thousands on top of itself for just holding it for time. And so just understanding the differences that provides is quite amazing. And so making it this far, I just want to say that mostly I'll probably actually start providing more talk discussion about NFTs and crypto on my channel, Discover Ignite, and the podcast start talking more about NFTs because that is something that has drawn my interest. And for myself in talking about, starting creating your life and the different tools and stuff I've provided, realizing that from this point forward, you have to keep evolving. And so for this channel to keep evolving, I'm going to start getting to something that interests me a lot, and that's NFTs and crypto and where that's going, and documenting my journey from here and to wherever it goes because it is so interesting on where it's going, what it's doing. And I want to be able to provide that and understand from where I came in the channel to where we're going in my evolution, and seeing the evolution in hopes that it can help you evolve yourself from points where, again, me coming from a point of weakness in my life to something greater, better, and stronger that takes many cycles of evolution.